and this will be at the marketing depot right here on the waterfront. They'll be selling some products there, which include sorrel, cucumber, pumpkin, sweet potatoes, cantaloupe, sweet pepper, and those will be sold at our marketing division here from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, right there on the waterfront. So anyone who is listening and want to buy any of those products, please go over there and patronize the marketing division. Also, I see an exciting event that is taking place here up at our agro-processing center, which is dubbed Taco and Subs Day. Taco and sub. Sub is a sandwich, Mr. President. So they'll have those chicken taco and chicken sub, veggie, beef, fish, and various types of sandwiches and tacos will be offered there. Well, you'll get smoothies. You'll also get special drinks that they said they have here, local drinks, all sorts of things. These will be advertised via the Agriculture Department Facebook page, and also I suppose I did hear it on the radio this morning, on the airwaves, that's Von Radio. So that is another event that I want persons to patronize tomorrow. And also while you're there, you can get your composite bread as well too. They do make some bread there on Fridays. So a lot of things goes on at the agro-processing unit. This is most important though, Mr. President. The abattoir division is accepting orders for their delicious hams, the Christmas ham. You have until the 10th of December. The 10th of December to place your orders. Now, I buy a large amount every year. I spend a couple thousands there. There's a reason why. We always said to support local, so I want my ham to be fresh, tasty, well seasoned, and that's what you get at the abattoir every year. So Gary and his team is waiting for your order, and I want to encourage all of the members of cabinet to buy some hams and give them out to your constituents. The more the merrier. We can supply any quantity of orders. So you have until the 10th of December to place your order, and that I believe is worth the while because you're supporting local. Every leg of ham that you purchase, it means one less leg of ham is imported into Nevis, and that is what we're striving for. Mr. President, let me move along quickly with my brief statement. It seems like I have to curtail my presentation then, but that's okay. Mr. President, I want to just quickly, we've had a situation here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, to some extent Nevis. You have heard of fish poisoning, some cases of fish poisoning here on the island, or also on the island of St. Kitts. I want to just quickly make a brief statement myself because I have been privy to most of the information, and of course as the minister responsible for agriculture, fisheries and marine resources in the federal parliament, or federal government, sorry, I believe that I should say something. It is certainly an unfortunate situation that we're dealing with at this time, but I will say to you, Mr. President, as soon as cases were brought to our attention, the Department of Marine Resources would have acted swiftly, quickly, and decisively in that we would have done the appropriate, taken the appropriate measures to ensure that we mitigate any further cases here in the Federation. What we have found out, Mr. President, is that somewhere along the line, some fish would have entered the food system via local fisher folks who would have perhaps caught fish in areas that we feel are prohibited areas. And when I say prohibited areas, they are areas that most of the experienced fishermen here in the Federation would know are somewhat off limit because of the fact that we know that there have been experiences in the past where fish were caught in those areas and have created difficulties or health challenges for people. We're not pointing a finger at anyone to start with, but what we are asking our fishermen to be is a bit more considerate in their approach. and be a much more compassionate fisherman in the sense, or fisher folk, in the sense that if you know that that is the situation, please do not venture into areas where you believe or we know might create that type of danger to our people. So I want our fishermen to be more careful in their approach. I know there's this rush these days because there is an emphasis to consume more fish than meat on some people's part, because people are living more healthy lifestyle and they're getting their protein from fish these days instead of animals. And I want to say, irrespective of what the demand is, let us be cognizant of the fact that people's lives are at stake. I consume a lot of fish. As a matter of fact, personal experience, I was, afflicted with with a bout of poisoning some years ago. I think it was about 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It is not an experience that I want to wish on anyone. And that is why I'm asking our fisher folks to be more cognizant of the challenges that persons may face when it's all said and done, once they would have consumed these type of fish, or these poisonous fish or fishes. Mr. President, we have done some things in terms of removing all suspected fish that we believe would have created any difficulties from our complex there in Bastia. We haven't had any report from the complex here in Charlestown, but I believe there were 5 cases here in Nevis. Where those cases would have originated from, that is what we're trying to find out. And we're doing the investigation to see what may have been the situation there. But of course, we continue to ensure that our food system is secured. We are seeking to ensure that we are providing our citizens with food safety and food security in every aspect of agriculture, including fisheries as well. And that is why we're craving the support of our fisher folks, and also anyone who are providing food of any sort here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. Let us be cognizant of whom the customers that we are serving. And of course, we'll continue to educate our general public. As a matter of fact, I will say this to you, Mr. President. Prior to this particular circumstance, there was indeed a capital project that was submitted to the federal government to seek to establish the necessary protocol and an institution whereby we can do the necessary testing, water testing, testing of fish products, and also, when I say testing, I'm looking at seeking to establish the content of sulfur and also any other bacteria that might be in our water, or even pesticides or anything like that that might cause a challenge to our food system and our food system, sorry. Now, with that said, Mr. President, off of agriculture, and quickly, I was intending to be very brief, but I want to quickly just say to you that we continue to have our challenges at the NHLDC. Many persons are still waiting for homes to be constructed, but we are still constructing homes, but it's not at the rate that we would have done over the last 3 years at least. We have had our challenges, and in those challenges, we have sought some relief. And when I say relief, we have some mortgages ourselves that we are committed to. And when I say mortgage, I mean loans that we are committed to. And we have sought some relief there so as to ensure that the entity continue to survive. This has been a challenging year. We are almost done with this year, and hopefully next year we'll see a different type of, or some different type of circumstances. But of course, we have been committed to this company in Trinidad, Mr. President, Unit Trust. And we have a mortgage there, or loan there, that we continue to pay. We have asked for their relief for the last 6 months. Our commitment to them monthly is $21,987 US dollars, that is, Mr. President. That is a loan we would have met there in 2013, a loan we continue to service. We still have a balance with that company of $2,695,613.30. That is US dollars, Mr. President. So we are still seeking to service that particular loan. In so doing, we still have demands for homes. Not only that, I want to also bring to the table as well a major, or some major loans that we continue to service that has limited our ability to do some of the things that we are mandated to do. And in terms of what we are committed to locally, for example, Social Security, we have 4 loans that we are committed to. One is a $9 million loan. The other is a $10 million loan. Then a $10 million loan, and of course another $15 million loan. You add all those up, Mr. President, you get 35, that's almost $44 million in loans. Some prior to 2013 and some thereafter. I believe there were 2 loans after 2013, which is 10 and 15 million. All the others we would have met there. So we have a commitment to Social Security monthly of $158,657.14. That is EC dollars. And they have graciously given us a moratorium until the end of this year, so that we can survive, and next year we'll have to honor our obligations to them. Now, in terms of the mortgage relief scheme that we started some years ago, I want to say to those who are capable and able to do so, that relief scheme is still available. We have had just about 29 persons who would have benefited from that, and we have seen the realization of savings of $10,000 up to $38,000 in relief in that regard. How that works, Mr. President, and I want to reiterate, those who can, it's not a selling point this morning, it is something to encourage persons if they can, because there are tremendous benefits to doing so. But how that works is that if you have a balance at the corporation and there are 58 persons who are still paying a mortgage through the NHLDC. Keep in mind, the NHLDC is not a mortgage institution. We are not a lending institution. We are not a financial institution where we have the infrastructure to handle these mortgages. But there are 58 persons who are still currently paying through the NHLDC. But what we have been encouraging those who are there and those who would have gone before, those 29 persons, they would have come and benefited this way. One, the balance that you had going at the NHLDC, you would have received 15% discount on that balance. Then we would have undertaken the cost of doing all of the necessary legal work, so that there is no cost involved in the legal transfer of that particular mortgage to a lending institution. And of course, the various banks would have their different interest rates. It's a matter of checking to see who may have the lowest. And now this is for those who can. We're not forcing anyone to do so, but we'll encourage persons who can to still take advantage. And like I said, the savings have ranged from as low as $10,000 up to as much as $38,000 for those who would have benefited. But what that means, you get your title. The title is in your name, of course. You can use that title to do anything you want to do. Whether you want to purchase a motor car, whether you want to send your child or children to school, you can refinance that mortgage. You can do so many things with that title. It is yours. And the power of having that title in your hand is the most important thing, and that is why we'll encourage persons to still take advantage. Mr. President, I would have gone beyond my time. You didn't stop me, which is very good. I thank you very much. But I thank you for the opportunity to just briefly report to the people of the island of Nevis. I may please you, Mr. President.
Personal explanations. Introduction of bill and first reading.
Good morning, Mr. President. I rise to have introduced and read for the first time the bill that is shortly entitled the Nevis Trust and Corporate Services Providers, the Nevis Trust and Corporate Service Providers Bill 2020.
Mr. President, I rise to second motion.
The question is that the bill shortly entitled the Nevis Trust and Corporate Service Providers Bill 2020 be read the first time. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? Those against? The ayes have it.
A bill to provide for the licensing and supervision of corporate services business and trust business and for matters incidental or auxiliary thereto.
The bill has been read first.
Adjournment.
Mr. President, I rise to move the adjournment of this Honorable House sine die. But since I'm on my feet, Mr. President, please allow me on the occasion of the adjournment to express my very deep condolences to the family of the late Judy Williams Hanley, I think she married name was Hanley, from Bath. We all rose this morning to the very sad news that there was a terrible accident that cost life. And I wish, as Premier of Nevis, to express to the family, I know her husband very well, I know the entire family very well, my very, very deep condolences on this untimely loss. I also, since I'm on my feet, would like to express to my very good friend, Ms. Mulcair in Zion, again, the condolences of the Office of the Premier and the Nevis Island Administration on the loss of her young son. A young man I knew very well, a young man who aspired to be a pilot, and one with whom I had had several conversations in that vein. I know he meant so much to his mother, and I would want her to know that our thoughts and our prayers are with her in this very difficult period. These deaths were untimely. I think, Mr. President, we are accustomed to the idea that we will die. We recognize that it is a date that most of us will have to meet. But when it comes suddenly, and it comes to people who are young or otherwise in good health, even more grievously than when it comes when we are in our old age, Mr. President. It reminds us, however, that death is there for all of us, and we know not the day nor the hour. And perhaps these deaths, if there's anything we can take from them, it's to remind us of our own mortality and remind us, Mr. President, of our need, whilst we're still alive, to be kind to each other, to be our brother's keeper and our sister's helper, and to do the very best that we can to make Nevis the best possible place it can be. So with those few words, please, Mr. President, I trust and hope that the family will be comforted by all of our prayers in this very, very difficult period for them. Thank you, Mr. President.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. President, please permit me to also rise on this occasion to offer my sincerest condolences to Mr. Raji Hanley and family on the untimely passing of his wife. My thoughts and prayers are indeed with the family at this time. I also wish to express my sincerest condolences on behalf of the opposition to the McClure family of Zion, and also to Mr. Calvin Walters. My thoughts and prayers are also with those families at this time. Mr. President, I also wish to express my profound and beloved gratitude to my constituency, Nevis 5. I take this opportunity to thank them for their continued love and support as I endeavor to serve them in the best way that I can under the circumstances. I also wish to extend my gratitude to the Nevisian public. I am aware, Mr. President, that the borders have now reopened, so I just wish to advise everyone to stay vigilant, remain cautious, to encourage persons to comply with the COVID-19 protocols, continue to wear your mask, and practice good hygiene. I also wish to encourage persons, I know these are very challenging times as we experience COVID-19, and I know the economic plight that we are experiencing here in Nevis and perhaps throughout the world. So I just want to encourage persons to keep the faith, to continue to pray and believe in God, and do sincerely hope, and we shall press forward and keep the faith that we shall indeed see good times, and good times will be ahead once more. I thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I rise to second the motion for the adjournment sine die.
Question is that this House be adjourned sine die. Those in favor? Aye. Those against? The ayes have it. House adjourned.
Very good afternoon to you, ladies and gentlemen, members of the media gathered here with us, and those of you who are joining us at home and elsewhere on your various platforms in radio and television. Welcome to our update, our weekend broadcast. Today is one of those days where we look at where we've been, where we are, and what the weeks and months ahead are projected to be. The last time I spoke with you was 2 weeks ago, and we said we were evaluating the responses from the national population, and the doctors were giving us the data as to how we were proceeding. In the meantime, I think it's becoming more and more convincing that we, along with the rest of the world, are having to come to grips with the reality that we're hoping would not have been the state of play, that we are having to live with the coronavirus. The virus is appearing not to want to leave us in any short or medium term, and as a result of that, we are having to do what has to be done, cognizant of the fact that the virus is with us. And some of those things you are familiar with by now because they've been our daily exhortations, and they still remain in place. Today, I would like to begin by asking Dr. Parasham and his team to give us the scientific appreciation, and after that, we would see where we are in terms of response.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister, ministers, members of the media, members of the viewing and listening public. So I'll begin with the clinical update for October 10th. as of 2 p.m. today. So total number of tests, unique patient tests, 30,423. The total recovered patient